Hello, this is Patrick. I'm going to do a quick video today, and I'm using different video background. I wanted to talk about some topical issues, and I'll take this down in about a week. Uh, Bill O'Reilly was systematically attacked last week, and he has been removed. This is a big setback for different voices, even though he was technically a gatekeeper. He kept the discussion within a very narrow range, but he wasn't overly hostile to what Trump was doing, and I still doubt that Trump is doing 75% of his work is hidden. It's not in the news. And this is what the mainstream media are attacking him about. Now realize this is really a civil war between two aspects of the ruling class. This is not going to be a radical transformation, but it is a willingness from one ruling aspect of our ruling class to give the people something. So compared to Hillary and the Democrats, you will get less war and more money in your pocket. That's essentially it. They're doing this for self-preservation. That's why they're doing it. They see what's coming around the bend, and they don't want a revolution where they lose everything. And you can't be naive to realize they're not going to let a true revolution type person in power. But that could come against their will, and it might. And let me explain a little bit. I don't want to ramble too much, but that's where we're dealing. That's how I view Trump. I see him as a decent person. He had an epiphany in 1997, and whether he's a walk-in or not, or something else happened to him, I believe two people really transformed him into a different person. So the other faction is attacking his business as well as him politically in the media, which they own. And that is really interesting. I know a lot of you don't like Trump. You're saying you're just being fed the media stuff. You got to give him a chance. Now, I dowsed just a couple weeks ago. I wanted to know, why is he backtracking so visibly? And it's because he's being hammered by the media. I mean, it's a coordinated attack. They use the same words. This has nothing about free press. This is one aspect, one faction attacking the other faction. And one faction owns all the media. And O'Reilly was, and Fox, actually is part of the ruling class. But they actually represent the faction Trump is representing. All right? And we will be better off as people with this faction, kind of. I'm not a... It's going to be better in the long run, especially with the changes that are going to occur in our culture and in our geography. I mean, there's things that are going to be happening. And I haven't discounted, a gentleman wrote in the comment section about the Earth changing its axis is coming up. And you know, that was big when I was with Edgar Cayce, when I studied Edgar Cayce back in the 70s and 80s. And I was a member of the Association of Research and Enlightenment, ARE. And you should check him out. You know, his books and his materials are still valid, everything he did. A lot of his predictions talked about Earth changes. And it's very difficult for even very gifted viewers and channelers and intuitives to see the future date-wise. Like, I know what's going to happen to the price of oil, but I'm not exactly, I can pinpoint a time, but it's not surprising it takes a year later. I mean, ultimately, oil is going to go down to $12, but I just don't know when. And and things of that nature. I expect commodities to go up significantly, wheat and corn. Is this due to drought? I haven't really pursued it. but wheat and corn are going to go up a lot. And it may be this summer's crop, it may be next year's crop. But I wouldn't be surprised it's this year. Anyway, I'm getting away from myself. I wanted to talk about Bill O'Reilly being fired. So one faction, which is basically George Soros, is the money man of that faction who gives out the money for the political, and he coordinates the political and economic attacks. This man, of course, he's not an American. And a lot of the powerful people in this country are not Americans. And you'll see it on CNN. You go, why are they have these people with accents? They have citizenship papers, but they don't have the frequency and vibration of what it is to be an American. They don't understand the Constitution. They don't really care about it. They're just attacking it, especially the First and Second Amendments. And as humans evolve, we won't need the Second Amendment, but we're not evolved. We're living in this 3D, and it's very dangerous times. And as long as the Second Amendment is there, we have some kind of protection against the powerful people. That's pretty much. And that's why it was put in there. It had nothing to do with hunting rabbits and deer. And it was about political power, military power. Okay, so Bill O'Reilly was removed, and people like on the other faction, which would be David Letterman, who was much worse, who sexually assaulted people in his office regularly, people who worked for him. Nothing happened to him. Do you see the double standard? And this was timed. These things happened a long time ago, and now they're coming now. Why? They want to take him down. This important voice. He's very successful, Bill O'Reilly, and I don't agree with him on much of the things he talks about. I don't watch him, but I watched him for the first time basically this year or last year. I kind of just to tune in what was the memes being spoken about in the country, and so you got to put up your shields when you watch this stuff. But I watched CNN a little bit. I haven't seen CNN in a year, and it's just because it's so overboard fake. And well, Fox News is somewhat similar, but at least they're somewhat in Trump's corner. And so they took Bill O'Reilly out, and he was attacking Soros quite a bit, and so was a couple of the other TV personalities at Fox. So anyway, I want to speed up the story a little bit, and I want to go, what does Bill O'Reilly going to do? You know, Fox might have made a mistake if O'Reilly is so angry he decides to go over to another network. So I dowsed all the other networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, whatever, a few of the other one, MSN. And, you know, like CNN, he got like 10% chance of being hired by them. Though they probably should. And I kind of went through them all. And NBC was very high, 90% chance he would be hired from them if he approached them. And they're probably contacting him. Now, this was a network that hired Megyn Kelly. She went over there and got a lot of money. And they're interested in the bottom line. They want programming to increase their ratings. And they're going to take a risk. And they took a risk with Megyn Kelly. I don't think she brought anything to the table. But Bill O'Reilly, he might have a couple of years left in him. He looks very tired. You know, when this thing was breaking, you could just see it. He was just all, he knew it was coming. You can tell. I tapped in and go, why is this guy so, like, de-energized? And that was it. He knew the hammer was coming down, and he knew the sons of Murdoch. Now, the whole Murdoch family are pretty low vibration. But the brothers are real anti-American. They really, and you can see it in their, they want this multicultural. Multicultural means they wanted to dilute the host culture that produced all the wealth of the country, that produced the wealth of the people. So that wealth has been taken over using multiculturalism. And it's been a very effective tool. And I don't know if it's going to play out, how that's going to play out. I have a feeling when we douse the immigration issue, a big chunk of the illegals will not be here in a year, year and a half. About in a year and a half, we'll get rid of probably 80%. I don't want to say get rid of, repatriate to their homelands and in compassion and in love. But the fact of the matter is, kids are getting out of college with big debts and they don't have jobs. They don't even have basic training jobs for working with their hands. So these are things that need to be addressed. And they go, well, who's going to clean your toilets? I don't care. You know, that's what you have to say. I don't need anyone cleaning my toilet. You know, maybe people should learn how to do that if you can afford extra help for that. I don't care about iPhones made in China. Just don't care. I don't need the iPhone. You know, and people go, well, China might come to North Korea's aid. Who cares? You know, then our balance of payment will be zero day one of a conflict. So we don't want a conflict, but these are the things that are being looked at. Now, Bill O'Reilly, I had him in a dream last night, and basically I told him my dowsing, that he should go over to NBC, and I said they would give him $25 million, and he was kind of intrigued, but he wasn't. I could tell he was just burnt out. He was just tired, and so it may happen. In the dream state, when something like that happens, it's more of a what am I trying to say here? You're talking to an aspect of his personality. You're not, you know, Bill O'Reilly could be, you could talk to a multitude of people at once, simultaneous. In particular for the oversoul, that can handle the information and they can download it to Bill O'Reilly later. So he knows it, and he does have an option there. He can also go the internet route and set up his own internet programming and be picked up in syndication. That could be a way for he can go and make a lot of money and still be influential. If he's a little bit vindictive against the Fox brothers, those two brothers, Murdoch brothers, he could go to NBC and go right against the old time slot, because you can put programming people before and after Bill O'Reilly with the number of people he's bringing in. And if he goes to a more moderate, you know, people say he is probably less conservative. He's probably more middle of the road in a way. So he has his options. I don't know why. I don't really care about Bill O'Reilly. I'm just passing this on. It's entertainment for the masses. He was taken out. It was a plan. I mean, they could have done this years ago, but they're doing it now. So the timing is intriguing. Why are they doing it now? And I think it shows about what's going on with Fox, the future of their so-called conservative label. The sons are stepping in and taking control. And the father's kind of going along. I think the father, Rupert, even though he's 85, he's going to regret going along with this. I do get that too. He's going to regret it. And which leads me to a father and daughter story, which is Trump and Ivanka. And as you know, in the dowsing, Trump was, I had him changing radically his politics in mid-December. And it could be he's being blackmailed or he was just being overwhelmed. And I suspect there's a little of everything. It's coordinated. They are feeding him information that has been edited and censored. And therefore, the strike on Syria. He doesn't realize that the strike in Syria was done by aspects of our own government, in particular the CIA. I thought Israel and Turkey could have been involved and things like that, but none of them were involved. It was aspects of the CIA. And there are different heads of the CIA that don't talk to each other. Anyway, Trump is going to figure this out. It's dawning on him now. And he's also getting blowback from his base. And the dowsing shows that he actually went extremely to the left. You know, he's thinking about, when you're thinking about the health care was basically the same thing. What else is it? The tax reform can't get in. I know we're all blaming it on Congress, but Trump is kind of going along with major concessions that will undercut his whole election. You know, you have to stand for something. So he's done all his executive orders, and that will address the immigration to some extent. He can address the trade imbalance a bit on himself, and things of that nature. But when it comes to health reform and tax reform, he's going to have to stand toe-to-toe with Congress and beat the moderates into line. Because the Democrats are playing this game of taking no prisoners, will not compromise on anything. This has never been done before to this extent. So this is Schumer and Pelosi, who are very dark individuals when you douse them. And their goal is to scorch and burn politically, and to prevent the other faction, which Trump leads, to do anything. And Trump has been able to do like a Supreme Court appointee. That's really important. That's really important because a lot of lawsuits are coming at Trump, and he's going to need to fall back on the Supreme Court to protect him. Do you see the first immigration executive order was overthrown basically by the other faction because he didn't have the Supreme Court in play. Now he can go back to that exact one and appeal it and push it up to the Supreme Court. So he's going to be able to do that now. So the whole story is changing. And I had this a while back when I said, when is Trump going to get the upper hand on the deep state? And I said between mid to end of June. It said 10 weeks, so I did that a month ago or so ago. So we got a little bit more time to go, but you can see evidence of this getting the upper hand on the deep state. Getting the Supreme Court is one of those aspects. And okay, so I said I had the dream with Bill O'Reilly last night. I don't know why, because I did some dowsing on it, and he might take the NBC route, and that will be interesting. It's entertainment for the masses, as it were, and he'll bring that audience with him. It's huge. I mean, it's really, really big. It was really surprising Murdoch went along with that. So he threw out the two people that essentially made his network a success. That's really, and it's probably against his better judgment, but realize his sons live in New York, and they like this this globalist approach to the world. And if you look at National Geographic, which they bought about a year or so ago, the topics are all about multiculturalism. I mean, they switched it. It's radically different. I don't know why or how they got a hold of National Geographic. I thought it was a non-profit thing, but they're going to start making more videos and things with that message. So you're going to see a radical change in Fox, especially if Rupert Murdoch passes away or something. But anyway, that's just interesting. Back to, I brought about Edgar Casey. I just wanted to finish up with him. Someone wrote a comment and reminded me about the earth changes, in particular the flip of the axis. And I did revisit it with my dowsing a couple months ago. And it was there. I mean, it's still there. And it could be that event in the second half of 2019 when Trump will step aside and Ivanka become president somehow. So we don't see how that's going to happen. Now, Ivanka is more moderate. She's really down the middle of the road. She's not against abortion. She's kind of lukewarm. She's like lukewarm on everything. She's a nice person. She's honest. I don't know how much she really knows, but I think she could be a compromise once this stuff starts hitting the fan. If we do have a flip of the axes, I get 90% versus the 180 flip, the poles. That would put the North Pole in the equator. So this is, Edgar Casey talked extensively about this. Other people, Noah's flood in the Bible was probably a change of the axes. And that's what it brings about. So I'll explore this later. And it could explain a lot of things. We can't see the future, but everybody's been getting dreams of water and floods and volcanoes. And some of this could go before the flip of the axis. I'm not saying the axis will happen. I'm not guaranteeing it. But it kind of shows up in the dowsing. It's a positive sign. All right? So don't worry about it. I mean, the whole point of these videos is that we get ourselves in line emotionally and spiritually. That's important, because if our vibration is higher as we approach these times, you're going to be in a higher frequency timeline, and I think that is going on, but I'm getting conflicting information because our rational and logical mind sometimes can't really figure out. You're trying to use your visions, you're trying to use your tarot, your dowsing, your psychic and sensitive abilities, and it's still, a lot of information is withheld by the spirit realm. We just have to be prepared to know great changes are coming, and things will be fine. It's not going to be overly bad. All right, maybe I'm lying there. Okay, well, thank you, and we'll see what Bill O'Reilly does. He's kind of old. I mean, to start a new contract at another new environment, and that's probably the only thing that's holding him back. Okay, bye-bye, and I'll talk to you all soon.